Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed is the greatest thing Monolithsoft has ever done. It is their Magnum Opus and their masterpiece. And today, I want to tell you exactly why I feel this way. Hey guys, Nishquick here, and you guys definitely know, a lot of the returning viewers on this channel know, I'm a huge Xenoblade fan, and I loved Future Redeemed this year. It was a big, massive highlight for me in 2023, and it is honestly one of my games of the year. It is a game of the year contender for me, and I want to talk about why it is a game of the year contender for me, and why I consider it to be a full-on video game experience. It is, in my opinion, the greatest thing Monolithsoft has ever done. It brings together every single thing they have done in terms of gameplay innovation and story and lore and world building all together in one good, complete, fantastic, enjoyable, and engaging package of a video game. So if you enjoy Xenoblade, if you enjoyed Future Redeemed, if you enjoy RPGs and Nintendo, give this video a like and subscribe for more content like this. Future Redeemed, just like Torna the Golden Country, is a DLC expansion to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, just like how Torna was to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And like Torna, similar to Torna, the gameplay loop and the style of the gameplay is very similar to the base game. Torna was fairly similar to Xenoblade 2, but the combat system was very different and in a better way. Xenoblade 2 had a lot of convoluted systems, but Torna really refined them and really cut down a lot of the fat. And Future Redeemed has done the same thing. But if you really look at it, Future Redeemed did not really amp up the combat. It didn't really reinvent the wheel or reinvent the combat system like Torna the Golden Country did. Xenoblade 3 already did the unthinkable, combining what was great in Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2 to make, in my opinion, the best combat system in the series. Future Redeemed polished it, refined it, and like I said before, just took out the fat and kept what worked. Also, instead of a whole bunch of different classes you can choose from, like in Xenoblade Chronicles 3's base game, you only have 7 to choose from in Future Redeemed, and it really minimizes a lot of the busy work that you have to do with choosing the best classes, choosing the best characters for those classes, and just playing around with that. You have specific characters with specific classes, and it just kind of streamlined the experience a lot more. So, of course, bringing together what's great about the combat system in 1 and 2 and 3 and just polishing it. Basically, one of the best combat systems in the entire series. What's more, the Affinity goal system, I want to talk about that a bit. The Affinity goal system was a very welcome addition to the game because I'm talking about gameplay systems in Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. Well, the Affinity goal system was a polished version of the Frontier Nav system from Xenoblade Chronicles X, which encouraged exploration. I'm not going to go too much into this because I already made a video on this on the channel around April or May when Future Redeemed was still big and new and all that, but basically, this Frontier Nav system in Xenoblade X encourages you to explore the planet of Mira, just like how the Affinity Goals system encourages you to explore the Cent Omnia region to get rewards, and these rewards were substantial, and they made me look at every single nook and cranny of this environment to get those rewards. And not only is it for the rewards, it's for the exploration, because it's so much fun to just explore this specific area of Ionios, and I loved it so much. And I've noticed a lot of people aren't talking about this Affinity goal system and how it relates back to Xenoblade Chronicles X. And I think that also is just kind of because of the fact that many people haven't played Xenoblade X, and it's really interesting because immediately when I saw this, it really brought back memories of the first time I played Xenoblade X, when that Frontier Nav system clicked, and it made me just want to explore every single nook and cranny of every single continent of Mira in Xenoblade X. And I love that they brought this back in Future Redeemed. Future Redeemed is closing out that Xenoblade arc, that Klaus saga, and they not only brought back things from the numbered titles, but from Xenoblade X as well in terms of gameplay style. And that's just fantastic. It's another checkbox in the list that makes this a true Monolithsoft masterpiece, and just their Magnum Opus, the best thing that they've done. So that's enough about the gameplay. Even though the gameplay is very expansive, I really just gotta gush about the story in Future Redeemed. The story is so perfectly paced, and initially when I was first playing this game, I didn't really think that, but hear me out. There's no downtime in the story of Future Redeemed, and initially it felt like a straight beeline to the end, but I love how things flowed from one moment to the next and to the next. Initially, Matthew's looking for Niall, he finds Nicole and Glimmer, and that leads them to find Shulk and Rex. And then they all say, hey, let's look for your sister together, let's find your sister. And then you find her, she's Alpha, you find N, and then it's on to Origin. And of course, the end game is just packed with lore, with callbacks, with conclusions, with tying up loose ends, and just giving us solid answers to so many questions we had about Klaus, about the Trinity processor, about Alvis and Ontos and A, and all these things about what happened to Pyra and Mithra, what happened to Malos, what happened to Numa and Logos, and all these things. It was just so perfectly presented and so perfectly put together in that end game, and that was just such a treat for me. And not only was the story perfectly paced, not only was the narrative, the dialogue, all that was amazing, the callbacks were just sublime. Of course, the two biggest protagonists in the Xenoblade series, Shulk and Rex, are back. I also did a video on how I think they're perfectly handled in the story. They were not only there for fan service, they were there to provide context to what's happening in the world. They were there to show what really happened to them in between the events of Xenoblade 1 and 2 and the events of Xenoblade 3. You see them and they're matured, they're grown up, they're like older men now. They've gone through so much, they're jaded. Shulk isn't really feeling it. Rex is a strict older father figure, and he's actually a dad. And just seeing how these characters have grown up was so amazing. Not only that, the callbacks to Xenoblade 1 quests were amazing, like the Gem Man and some other like quests around the Colony 9 and Yesterdale area were just so wholesome and just really hit me with a big train of nostalgia. Not only that, but the Affinity scenes, just some of them just brought a tear to my eye. Hearing Shulk talk about Fiora, Dunban, Ricky, so many other characters in the game. Hearing Rex talk about his love and his dedication to Pyra and Mithra, how he feels about Nia as the Queen of Agnes, and him recounting some of the crazy things that happened to him in Xenoblade 2, like getting swallowed by Uriah, and even having characters like Panacea and Linka over there, giving some small references to their parents, Ryan and Charla, and Zeke and Pandoria. I just loved having them there. Just having those references to the older games really drew me in closer to the characters of Future Redeemed, because you not only have Shulk and Rex on your team, you have their kids. Not only do you have Shulk and Rex and their kids in the party, but you have Alvis. Alvis is back. Alvis is actually back, but in the form of A. I thought A's inclusion into the story was fantastic, because my big wish in Xenoblade 3 was to see Alvis again, whether as a villain, or as a hero, or as someone just being back again, because Alvis was the alpha. I always knew it from the start. Alvis was truly like the key to the Xenoblade story, and Ontos really meant something. Ever since I finished off Xenoblade 2, I knew that they would bring back Ontos some way, shape, or form in the DLC, and I was right. I'm so happy that Alvis was back as A, because some of the conversations that they were having with Shulk really just brought you back to the happy memories of Xenoblade 1 with Alvis and Shulk, and learning all the mysteries about Alpha, what happened to Ontos, what led him to become Alpha, and have A split away from that. That was just brilliant. I love that so much. And one thing I specifically forgot to mention, and this is aside from the callbacks, but this is related to the story. I loved Mobius N in the base game of Xenoblade 3, but his role was incredibly enhanced in Future Redeemed. He was given more motivation for what he did, and you kind of really sympathize with him a lot more in this game, and he's now solidified as my favorite villain in the Xenoblade series. I want to talk about the music really quick, because the story, of course, is another checkbox in the Magnum Opus of Monolithsoft, in my opinion, but I think the music also comes full circle as well. New Battle in Future Redeemed is, in my opinion, the best battle theme in the entire series, and probably the best song Kenji Hiramatsu has done for Xenoblade, in my opinion. And the Cent Omnia theme is one of the best songs Ace has ever composed for the Xenoblade series. A very, very recognizable, very iconic track. And I love how the final boss theme against Alpha is sort of like a remix of Zanza the Divine. And of course, when we saw Alpha in the promotional material, we kind of knew what was coming. We knew that it would be sort of a remix of Zanza the Divine, but what we got was nothing short of spectacular. But I really have to hand it to Monolithsoft, Takahashi, and everyone involved for bringing back Miss Joanne Hogg to sing this beautiful song, The Future Awaits, for the end credits theme. You see, Joanne Hogg did the vocal melodies for the games Xenogears and Xenosaga, and of course they had to bring her back for Future Redeemed, and that brings me to my next point. I've spent a lot of time talking about Future Redeemed on this channel, but only in the EXP podcast episode I did with my buddy Yggdrasil did I mention the radio. I think it's been long enough. I need to address the elephant in the room, or I guess you could call it the Zohar in the room, the radio. The radio is the most Takahashi thing that Takahashi has ever done for Xenoblade. It is the perfect way to call back to all other prior Xeno games while still canonizing what he wanted to canonize. And what do I mean by that? Well, as we can see on the radio, it has the Vector logo. Mr. Dmitry Yuriev has been mentioned, so that basically canonizes Xenosaga. But Takahashi had some Easter eggs for other things as well. He mentioned the Philadelphia-class motherships from Xenogears, which was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Eldritch in Xenogears was a Philadelphia-class mothership. Not only does he mention that, but he mentions Project Exodus from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Does this mean Gears and X are canon? Not necessarily, because Saga has more of the evidence towards it, with the Vector logo and Dmitry Yuriev possibly taking place in the same universe as Klaus's experiment. But I think Takahashi bringing everything together in this last Xenoblade Chronicles game was genius. This was his episode 6. This was his final episode 6 of his Perfect Works series. What happens when the Zohar is gone? What happens when the conduit is gone? What do we do? And how does this set up for the future? I think Takahashi is a straight genius in the way that he did this, and I loved it so much, because here's another really cool Easter egg. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the numbers and the dials on the radio even show the dates in which these Xeno games came out, all the way from 1998 to 2022 or 23. 1998 with Xenogears, all the way to 2022 with Xenoblade 3, and 23 with Future Redeemed. I think this radio scene was a treat for all Xeno fans, and for all just fans of Mr. Takahashi's work, of his Perfect Works saga with Xenogears, Xenosaga, Xenoblade. I unfortunately haven't gotten the chance to play Gears or Saga yet. I am looking into playing Gears very soon, and after what we have seen in Future Redeemed, I am definitely holding out on that possible Xenosaga remaster. Future Redeemed was a treat. It was really just an amazing treat for fans of the series. For us Xenoblade fans, we have had these questions ever since we completed Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2, and even some questions still lingered after the end of Xenoblade 3. Future Redeemed was one of the most satisfying conclusions to a long-running saga I have ever experienced. This Cloud saga has been running for the past 13 years, with Xenoblade 1 when it first released in Japan, and it's actually finally over, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that. But you know what? Like I said in the beginning of this video, this is Monolithsoft's Magnum Opus. It's their masterpiece. They perfected the gameplay, they perfected the combat, and they did this by taking things that worked and polishing things that didn't work in all the numbered games, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles X, bringing it all together in Xenoblade 3 and Future Redeemed. The story is complete, the story answers some long burning questions, and the story gives a heartfelt, emotional, impactful, and nostalgic conclusion to this long running saga. The music is some of the best in the entire series, and calls back to some of the most epic battles in prior games, and caps it off with a very beautiful and an emotional melody sung by the original Xeno vocalist Joanne Hogg. And yeah, it's just amazing. Everything about Future Redeemed was amazing. It is Monolithsoft's Magnum Opus. It's a complete package from beginning to end, and in my opinion, it just doesn't really feel like a DLC. I think that's undervaluing the experience and the package that Xenoblade 3 Future Redeemed is. In Future Redeemed, I personally spent about 30 hours in the game. I did a lot of the side content because those Affinity goals were always keeping me wanting to explore and do a lot more. But honestly, it has its own story, its own characters, its own unique gameplay loop, combat, areas, and music. It basically feels like its own RPG. And to me, because of all of this, it is definitely a Game of the Year contender for 2023, and just a phenomenal treat to fans. It was just a gift of a video game experience. And honestly, if you haven't experienced Xenoblade Chronicles, the series yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. And honestly, I could say to anyone who hasn't played the series, it is worth it in itself to experience all three of these games and their epilogues and their prologues and everything, just so you can experience Future Redeemed. It is the icing on the cake. It is a cherry on the top. It is a Christmas present early in the morning. This is one of the greatest video game stories and video game sagas I have ever experienced. And the reason is because nothing in video game narratives has really hit me personally this way, ever. There are so many other video game stories that I love and I cherish, but none of them hit as quite as hard as Xenoblade Chronicles. So yeah, that's a little bit about why I think Future Redeemed is Monolithsoft's masterpiece, and I want to know what you guys think. Did you guys enjoy Future Redeemed, and what were your favorite things about it? Do you think it is the best thing Monolithsoft has ever done? I personally think it caps off everything perfectly. It really brings together everything they learned and everything they wanted to polish out in one phenomenal, amazing masterpiece of a game. So let me know in the comments below what you think about Future Redeemed. Is it one of your Game of the Years for 2023? And yeah, anyways, this is Nishquick signing off. Have a great day. Go play some great games today, like the Xenoblade Chronicles Klaus Saga, and cap it off with Future Redeemed. It'll be worth it, I 100% assure you. I'll see you guys in the next one later. Hey guys, this is Nishquick. Thank you so much for watching that video, and if you enjoyed it, check out these two videos on the left, and if you aren't subscribed, why not hit that subscribe button on the way out? I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, and see you later.